Mechanical ventilation is delivered by positive pressure. It's a pushing pressure. It's pushing air into the lungs. It will be either be done by volume or by pressure. So if we have a mode of mechanical ventilation that's set up by volume, there'll be a designated tidal volume that'll be delivered to the patient. If we have it set up by pressure, there's a certain limit onto the peak inspiratory pressure that will be delivered to the patient. When we look at mechanical ventilation, it can either be full support, partial support, or spontaneously breathing. Full support, the ventilator is doing all the work of breathing for the patient. Partial support, meaning there's a shared experience. The ventilator is doing some, the patient is doing some. Full support is good for those patients that are initially admitted to the ICU or the emergency department, decreased levels of consciousness, stroke, drug overdose, multi-system trauma. The partial supports are good for patients whose conditions are starting to resolve. And spontaneous breathing, the patient may still be intubated, mechanically ventilated, or have a tracheostomy, but they're doing all of the work of breathing. They start the breath, they end the breath, they're doing and determining their own tidal volume. They have full responsibility for what's happening. When we look at mechanical ventilation as well, we look at triggering and cycling variables. So triggering is how the breath starts, and breaths can be started by pressure, flow, or time. So when we look at cycling, that's how the breath ends, or how the ventilator cycles from inspiration to expiration. And volume, pressure, time, and flow are also. So for example, with a trigger, how the breath starts, the ventilator, if it's a pressure variable, the ventilator will sense the patient's inspiratory effort. So as soon as it measures that there is, the patient is, there's a decrease in baseline pressure, usually just by a couple of centimeters of water, the ventilator will push the breath in. If it's by flow, we know there's always a continuous flow of air through the ventilator circuit. So as soon as the return flow is less than the delivered flow, the ventilator is saying, hey, somebody's trying to take a breath, and we'll deliver the breath, or time a certain amount of time. When we look at cycling variables is how the breath ends, and there can only be one cycling variable at a time. So if it's volume, a designated tidal volume has been delivered. If it's pressure, a certain peak inspiratory pressure limit has been reached. If it's time, there's a certain amount of time when the ventilator cycles to expiration. Or flow, when inspiratory flow decreases to a fixed proportion or a percentage of the inspiratory flow, the breath will end. When we look at the parameters and what we're able to set on the mechanical ventilator, we look at the mode, the FiO2, PEEP, respiratory rate, tidal volume, inspiratory-expiratory ratio, inspiratory flow rate, and sensitivity. So for patients that are newly admitted to the ICU, let's start on a full support mode of mechanical ventilation. The patient is doing all the work of breathing. For FiO2, the fraction of inspired oxygen, always set your FiO2 at 100%. The dangers of not giving the patient enough oxygen versus giving too much far outweigh what's currently going on with your patient. So you can always titrate downwards, but always start with a high value. 30 minutes after admission, draw an arterial blood gas and start decreasing the FiO2, because we know that there's certain complications associated with high oxygen delivery, such as absorption atelectasis and O2 toxicity. We would always intubate our patients and put them on a minimum PEEP of 5 centimeters of water to help accommodate the intrinsic PEEP that's lost when our patients are intubated and mechanically ventilated. A good rule of thumb is to put your patient's respiratory rate at about 10 to 20 breaths per minute, taking into consideration the patient's physiological condition and what they're currently breathing at. Tidal volumes, lots of good evidence to support lung protective ventilation. So sort of about 6 to 8 mLs per kilo. And when patients start developing issues with resistance and compliance, such as ARDS that I talk about at the end of the lecture, acute respiratory distress syndrome, low tidal volumes at about 4 to 8 mLs per kilo is optimal. Inspiratory-expiratory ratio, you always want to give your patient twice as long to exhale as inhale. So the ratio is usually set at 1 to 2 or 1 to 3. If you don't give the patient enough time to exhale, what can happen is the patient can start breath stacking, or you're retaining air in the lungs, and then they'll start auto-peeping. Auto-peeping is a dangerous condition when your patient is intubated and mechanically ventilated. Your inspiratory flow rate, certainly set at about 60 liters per minute. If you walk into the room, you see your patient, they look air hungry, it looks like they're gasping for air, that's probably that your inspiratory flow rate isn't set high enough. And sensitivity is the ventilator's ability to detect when the patient is initiating the breath. And in most circumstances or situations, the sensitivity is set at about -1 to -3 centimeters of water. two important concepts that we talk about and need to be aware of as critical care nurses are the concepts of compliance and resistance. So compliance is the ability of the lungs to distend. When we talk about resistance, that refers to any impediment in the airways to airflow, such as your asthmatic patient who the air tubes start to decrease in size because of edema, or you have secretions that have a tendency to pool in the airways. Those will all cause significant higher degrees of pressure that are going to be required in order to deliver a set tidal volume. When at the end of the lecture, I talk about the patient with ARDS, acute respiratory distress syndrome, which is really an inflammatory process, and it's a syndrome, can either occur as a result of a direct or an indirect insult into the lungs. You have an inflammatory process, fluid starts leaking between compartments, the alveoli and the area around the alveoli, the interstitial tissue starts filling with fluid, and as a result, when you hear the physicians and the RTs talk about the patient has stiff, non-compliant lungs, that's characteristic of ARDS. Also characteristic of ARDS is the refractory hypoxemia. You're going up and up and up and up on your FiO2, and the patient's FiO2, their PaO2, their SaO2 is not improving. Manipulations that we need to make on care of the ARDS patient, and nothing has been studied more than mechanical ventilation in ARDS in the last 25 years, is one, the delivery of low tidal volume, which has evidence has suggested that it decreases morbidity and mortality by 4 to 6 mLs per kilo. We're certainly going to administer PEEP, usually greater than 5, sometimes 10 to 20 centimeters of water. And proning has also produced good evidence of flipping your patient upside down and re-recruiting some of those previously collapsed alveoli. After that, everything sort of becomes a rescue therapy. Even when our patient is in the prone position, we are still going to set the mode, the FiO2, the positive end expiratory pressure, the respiratory rate. We may decide to switch to a pressure control mode of mechanical ventilation so that we're limiting that peak inspiratory pressure to decrease our incidence of volutrauma and barotrauma. And the other thing that's happening when we're looking at care of the ARDS patient is the research that's going on these days. And the research tends to be looking at a lot of airway pressure release or bi-level ventilation, which is 2 levels of pressure, a P high, a P low, and 2 levels of time, a time high and a time low. And most of the time that the patient is ventilating, they're at a high level of pressure for 6 to 8 seconds, and then a very quick release to allow the elimination of carbon dioxide. We're looking at esophageal pressure measurements to help determine what is optimal PEEP. And there's a lot of research currently going into driving pressure or the stress applied to the lungs. So as critical care, emergency healthcare professionals, it's important that we have a solid understanding of the basics of mechanical ventilation and how manipulation of the respiratory rate, the tidal volume, the minute ventilation can affect acid-base imbalance and help improve outcomes for our patient.